Hello, this is Olivia Smith with the League of Women Voters of Portland, and you are watching the Video Voters Guide or listening to our podcast. We are here today to talk with candidates running in the May 19, 2026 primary election. We are grateful for the support of the Carolyn Velma Sailing Foundation, the Weiss Foundation, the Sarah Fruing Foundation, members of the League of Women Voters of Portland, and our media partner, Metro East Community Media. With me is Joe Hagedorn, running for 4th District, Circuit Court Position 14. Welcome, Mr. Hagedorn.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for this office.
First, my name is Joe Hagedorn, and I'm a full-time referee judge pro tem on the family law bench. I'm assigned to the juvenile court where I make decisions that affect children and families. This includes child abuse and neglect cases, family law custody cases, and juvenile delinquency cases. I started my career as an AmeriCorps attorney in Albany, Oregon, working at the Legal Aid Office, where I was representing survivors of domestic violence. And I represented them in custody cases as well as contested restraining order cases. Then I worked at the public defender for 17 years, and I tried hundreds of cases, including misdemeanor and serious felony cases, as well as murder cases. I worked in the drug treatment courts, and I worked in mental health court. And since 2006 until my position now, I worked in the juvenile court as an advocate. Outside the courtroom, I am a devoted husband and father of 3 boys. And I continue to coach basketball and to mentor youth. In other words, I am an experienced advocate and experienced judicial officer on the Multnomah County Family Law Bench. I'm running because I want to make a difference for children and families. Every day in the last 6 years on the bench, I have learned how to work with people that appear in front of me. In my courtroom, this means meeting people where they're at. This means showing compassion. This means being curious and asking questions. And this means making sure that people are heard and not just lectured. On both the juvenile and family law bench, I have been prepared and ready to help and motivate people to change their circumstances and to solve their problems, while at the same time always thinking about the best interests of the child or children.
Position 14 has been designated as a courtroom to handle the family law docket, as opposed to general civil and criminal court. Describe what are the most significant considerations for you as a judge in custody cases.
Okay. Well, as I just mentioned, we are talking about the best interests of the child in both juvenile and family law cases. So when we're talking about determining custody, we are looking at the best interest factors found in ORS 107.137. And there's a list of 6 factors that the court should give primary consideration to the best interests and welfare of a child. This includes such factors as who is the primary caregiver, or the willingness and ability of each parent to facilitate and encourage a close and continuing relationship between the other parent and the child. The long and short of it of determining a child's best interest and welfare requires understanding of the family and the family dynamics, and to consider what is going on to lead to less conflict. This is why in Multnomah County we will have one family and one judge is the rule.
What would be the most significant consideration for you as a judge in dealing with self-represented litigants?
So first, the stat or statistic is that we have 70% of the people that appear in front of the family law bench are unrepresented or self-represented litigants. It might actually closer to 80%. As I mentioned, judges are very familiar with families because there are so many self-represented litigants. And it's important that judges understand, in my mind, the signs of trauma and stress, something that I've been very focused in on in the courtroom, and try to prevent any activation or escalation of stress in the courtroom. This includes, for me, is keeping my emotions stable. I have to work to limit any interruptions in the courtroom. I have to promote fairness and have to be patient. And this includes making sure that people understand the process. So there's an education aspect to helping people to understand what is happening. So questions such as, how do you do an opening statement? How do you ask questions of a witness? How do you enter exhibits into the record? So family law judges in general keep lots of lists, checklists to help self-represented litigants. And the other thing is we have the Legal Resource Center here in Multnomah County that also is very helpful in making sure that the right forms are being provided.
Okay. You're listening to the Video Voters Guide interview and podcast of Joe Hagedorn, who is running for 4th District Circuit Court Position 14. What would be the most significant considerations for you as a judge in dealing with child witnesses? You've mentioned some of this, but what would be the most significant considerations?
Yeah, so the first thing is you want to be thinking about the competence and the level of the ability of the child witness to really understand the questions and be able to clearly state and answer those questions. So the court, I think, often doesn't prefer to have child witnesses, but it's reversible error to not allow a child to testify in family law cases. However, what judges do have discretion about, and some of the things I've already talked about, is the court has the ability to control the manner of how it happens. Mm-hmm. That includes excluding parents potentially, but allowing the attorneys to remain in the courtroom. It might look a little bit different for self-represented litigants, but that's really the way to look at those child cases, especially in the family law bench.
Okay. What would be the most significant considerations for you as a judge in deciding issues of alimony and support?
Yeah, so the alimony is often referred to as spousal support or maintenance, and the standard in those cases are just and equitable. And there are 3 types of those of spousal support, including the transitional, which is as the lower earning spouse is when they're re-entering the workforce, or maintenance, and that is to maintain a standard of living that they're used to. And then the compensatory really is intended to reimburse one spouse for significant contributions for the other's education, training, or career development.
What would be the most significant considerations for you as a judge in guardianship and conservatorship cases?
Yeah, and so these cases are very statutory driven. So just making sure that you follow the statute, and it's really difficult to summarize. But I would say conservatorships are court-ordered arrangements where the conservator is appointed to manage the finances and property of an adult or a minor who cannot manage their affairs. I think those actions can sometimes be pretty rare for that to happen. There are a lot more guardianships. Guardianships really focus on the personal care, medical decisions, and daily decisions. And that's one of the things that I'm used to. And I think there's a lot more of the guardianships that happen in family law court.
Okay. What would be the most significant considerations for you as a judge in administering parenting plans?
Yeah, I think the key is the judges, as I just talked about, judges need to have a good understanding of the families that come before them. So they have to really understand how this family functions, what their work schedules are, ages of the kids, are they school age, and where are the schools? And you really want to reduce transitions for kids. So also plans really need to change as the needs of the families change. I think the key is really trying to find ways to eliminate conflict. Some families may need a parenting plan that's tighter, as opposed to other families who might do better with some ambiguity or room really to grow the parenting plans. So, again, the idea is that each family is different, and you're really trying to reduce the amount of conflict that's happening.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hagedorn. This concludes our Video Voters Guide and podcast by the League of Women Voters of Portland of Joe Hagedorn, running for the 4th District Circuit Court Position 14. Election Day is Tuesday, May 19. To find additional resources, including online identification of other candidates and ballot measures on which you may be able to vote, please visit the League of Women Voters of Portland website, lwvpdx.org, and vote411.org, and then exercise your right to vote. Ballots will be mailed out starting on April 30th. For your vote to be eligible to be counted, your ballot must be received by Multnomah County Elections Division or in one of the designated ballot drop boxes in Multnomah County by no later than 8 p.m. on Election Day. We strongly recommend that if you decide to vote by using the U.S. Postal Service, you deposit your ballots no later than Tuesday, May 12, 1 week before Election Day. Your voice and your vote matter. Thank you for your interest.